What's up, YouTube? My name is Shirria. This is the Shirria Mac channel, where I am now documenting my journey into entrepreneurship and bringing you guys along the way as I develop and build my mental health private practice as well as my mental wellness brand. So today's video is about the one thing I had to do to even get this far in my business, and I'm going to share it with you. Let's get started. So many of you may be here from my previous type of content that I would film surrounding my personal finance journey. And I shared some of my journey into entrepreneurship in that content. If you're here from there, I may have given the impression that it was something that I just decided to do. And I didn't share a lot of the mental challenges that I experienced in making that decision. And I want to be very transparent in sharing this journey to help to encourage and inspire you if you are also on a journey similar to this. The first challenge I ran across when I decided to become or even considered becoming an entrepreneur was my fear of failure. I had to really deal with that fear before I could jump or commit to entrepreneurship, even more specific, entrepreneurship full time. And so there is a quote that goes around that says, "Do it scared." That did not apply to me. It just was not realistic for me, and it may not be realistic for you. And so if you are a person where you cannot just justify doing it scared, starting a business scared, stepping out on faith scared, doing 100% full-time entrepreneurship scared, then this video is for you. So the first thing I had to do when I decided to, or before I could commit to going into full-time private practice or full-time entrepreneurship, was confront my fear. I had a fear of failure, and it was so heavy in my chest that it was keeping me stagnant from even committing to doing something that I was already doing. I was doing it part-time, but the fear of failure kept me from committing to doing it full-time and walking full-time into entrepreneurship. And when I tell you that is the scariest feeling, of feeling like you'll fail, and catastrophizing the thought of failure. So if you are dealing with that, look, I can relate 100%. And if that's something that you dealt with, I'm going to tell you how I dealt with it so that I could progress forward. And I can tell you, almost a year into entrepreneurship, full time, it'll be a year, February 1st, 2023. I do not regret my decision at all. So the first thing I had to do when confronting my fear of failure was identify what failure even looked like for me. So, failure is such a general term. The thought of failure is subjective to each individual, but I was attaching my fear to something that was very generic. The fear of failure, or failure for me, may be completely different than failure to you. I identified and got specific with what failure looked like to me. And once I was able to do that, I was able to create a plan to prevent failure or to do if I did fail. So failure to me, when I identified failure to me was not having enough clients to pay my bills or not having any clients at all. And once I made that clear, once I identified what that was absolutely not even applicable, because by the time I decided to go, I started to consider going into private practice full time, I already had clients. So in identifying failure as that, I was able to say, that's not even true. I already have clients. By the time I committed to it, which was December 3rd, 2021, and I turned in my notice, I had made $5,000, like $5,067 the month before. So December 3rd, so November 2021, I had grossed $5,000. So I had $5,000 worth of clients. And so the fear that I would not have any clients at all was not applicable to me. The next fear was that I would not have enough clients to pay my bills or to sustain my lifestyle. Those are two different fears. Of not having enough clients to pay your bills and not having enough clients to sustain your lifestyle are two different things. So my bills total, because I do a budget and I do, manage my finances pretty responsibly, then I was already aware of what the bare minimum budget would need to look like for me. And again, I was already making the income to support that. Now you factor in things like trips and nails and not necessarily hair, but like hair maintenance for my boys, eating out, date night, coffees, certain gifts and gadgets and decorating. I may not have at the time been making enough money for those things, but I had enough potential to make the money to incorporate those things back into my life if I could not get them immediately. So that is my number one tip for you. If you are considering going into entrepreneurship, whether it's part-time or full-time, and you have a fear, I encourage you to identify what those fears are and be as specific as you possibly can, because once you specify what that fear is subjective to you, you can also create a plan to prevent those fears from happening or to handle those events should they occur. And the last thing I did decide to do, because of I wasn't really willing to make that many sacrifices going into private practice, was I did save. I eliminated all my debts, my consumer debt, and I saved an additional $10,000. And that was because I felt like $10,000 could carry me at least 3 months if I decided, one, I didn't want to do private practice anymore. I figured that it wasn't for me and I didn't want to do it. Or two, if during that transition, I didn't have enough money for even just the minimums. So that is another thing that you can do. Once you have identified those fears, creating a plan for them. And if one of those fears is financially based, then creating a plan to address that fear as well. So that was the one thing that I felt like was very helpful. The very first piece of advice I give is identify those fears and confront them head on. And that can make you feel more confident in the decision to pursue entrepreneurship, whether it's part-time or full-time. So I hope that was helpful to you. One of the books that I read that was very helpful in that was Jen Shinsero's You're a Badass at Making Money. That was very helpful. And The Leap. Those two books were very helpful in helping me progress beyond my fears and make the transition into full-time entrepreneurship. So I hope this was helpful to you. If you found it helpful, make sure you give me a like. If you are not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you have subscribed to get more entrepreneurship tips, to follow my journey of developing and growing a mental wellness brand, as well as to get additional content that will be dropping every Thursday. Thank you so much for your time, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye. So I got specific. I identified and got specific. Responsibly.